Tuesday, January 9th edition. And newly installed President Michelson at the helm here. So a roll call, please.
Director Coverdale.
Yes.
Director Feldman.
Here.
Director Mueller.
Here.
Vice President Reynolds.
Here.
President Michelson.
Present. Okay, let's all rise to a pledge of allegiance. Ken, we'll let you lead us off here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America
and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go Tar Heels. I mean that.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much. And do we have any public comment? No, we have no members of the public. And do we have any members of the public? Jonathan is an auditor maybe, or?
He's our audit partner.
Okay, so no. And cool. Okay, great. Let's see. I'm trying to think when I want to insert our thank yous to our. Well, so we can do it right now. I'd like to thank my fellow directors for electing me to be president for the. I'm not sure what time this is. I know it's my third, fourth, fifth presidency here, and it's been a real honor over the past 20-something years to serve. And I also want to acknowledge our outgoing president, who has also been president many, many times over the course of his tenure here. And, you know, we all have these at home and a plaque, and, you know, they kind of not super useful. Can't really hammer a nail with them. So we didn't give our outgoing president one. Instead, we're getting him a much more practical hammer. This is a hammer he can actually use on the farm. So there you go. It may be stuck in there, but
Yeah, that definitely is. It doesn't come with directions.
yeah, it's a repurposed wine now.
This is definitely a big boy or lady.
So
I'll try not to show it to my wife.
yeah, you can really get things done with that hammer. So thank you very much. It's an honor to follow you as president.
And all of you, and thank all of the staff for their professionalism over the year. And I appreciate the board members and the team members. So thank you very much. And we look forward to the future of 2024.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine 24 we're still here. So thank you. Okay, so moving forward to the consent calendar. I see, Bob, this was your month to look at claims.
Right, I checked all the data out and it looked good.
Good.
I think it was an on.
Thank you very much. Any other directors have any questions or issues on consent? Otherwise, we could entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar.
I can make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
Awesome. Second, please.
My second.
Great. Roll call, please.
Director Coverdale.
Yes.
Director Feldman.
Yes.
Director Mueller.
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds.
Yes.
President Michelson.
Yes. Great. Thank you. So now meeting's ended. Director comments. You gonna tell us about your injury? No. Please.
So I had the pleasure of traveling with staff as part of the facilities committee to visit a water utility that generates electricity from the water coming into their treatment plant. And they have an energy recovery turbine there that generates more than the electricity than they use in the facility.
Wow.
And it was educational. I certainly learned a lot in seeing what they did and how they did it. We asked a lot of questions about how much of a hassle is it to run, how hard was it to negotiate with our benevolent overlord PG&E to put this in, because you're selling power. You know, you've got to have a relationship with PG&E to do it. And it was a very educational meeting, and it'll come up later in the
so that's what I was going to say. Very, very timely, because we're going to be discussing that tonight. So that'll be some really valuable information. Yep. Thank you. Now, how did this opportunity come up? How did you find this opportunity?
I called some folks I know. So Alameda County Water District has run energy recovery for more than a decade.
So how much head is there?
Recording in progress.
So they have a couple hundred, it's actually not a lot less than what we have. It's about 200 PSI coming in. And they have turbines that step that. You'd use a pressure reducing valve to lose that energy. So it comes into the plant at a safe pressure. And what they do instead is they have that valve as an emergency, but then they have these turbines that, and they have a couple of them so you can run. If you're running the plant at half capacity, you run one turbine, and if you're running the plant at full capacity, you run two turbines, et cetera. And so staff was super I made the invite to, I made the request. We got a response. Staff just absolutely jumped on it, and we went over. And so you were traveling.
Yeah, I'm traveling, yes.
But it was, I thought it was really educational and I think my perspective was, if we're going to consider something, I wanted to do it with references from utilities who've been doing it for a long time, so we could learn from their experience.
No, absolutely. We're too small to be the pioneer.
You won't invent the wheel.
Yeah, let's let the other guys try. So that's great. It's going to be super valuable. Thank you for taking the time. Anyone else have anything to share? Otherwise, we can move forward to general business, please. Mary?
Okay, I am going to turn this over to Jeff Schneider, who is going to introduce our audit partner. Jeff?
Thank you, Mary. Chair Michelson and Board of Directors, it's our recommendation that you accept the basic financial statements and the auditor's report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023. And before I introduce Jonathan, thank you for being here with us, Jonathan. We should acknowledge the efforts that went into the result that we received. We have an unmodified clean audit this year, and it's really a testament to Mary's leadership and the many folks in the district who contributed to that result. Again, clean report. Our accounting team, Nancy Trujillo is on the line tonight. Gina Brazil, Lisa, and Emma and Katie and Sue, the team who do our payroll, do our AP, do our AR. So again, a testament to their work. So with that, I will say, Jonathan, that I've met Jeff Palmer. You're a lead on our engagement, and the guy's really capable, very patient, and explaining things to me in my brief time here. So I want to thank Jeff Palmer for his help. And with that, Jonathan, I'll turn it over to you to present a summary of the audit results.
Yeah, Jeff, thanks for that very nice introduction. I'm here to present the district's financial results for fiscal year 23. And I will go over how your report became a clean opinion. So I will share my screen right now. Can everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on this screen, you can see that this is our professional guidance that we follow when we do our audits of special districts, including your district. So our audit process is governed by American Institute of CPAs, auditing standards. And we follow federal and state requirements. In fact, by January 31st, we will submit your financial transactions report by the end of this month. So GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles. So we follow the rules of Governmental Accounting Standards Board. Okay, so we follow a risk-based audits. And with that said, we have divided the scope of our audit into two phases. The first phase, we do an interim audit where we gain and understand your control framework from receipts. So from the time that you bill your customers and receive those payments, we understand the cycle, as well as your disbursements from the time that you receive the invoice from vendors upon payment. We also check that. And also for your cash, we verify your bank statement if it agrees with your bank reconciliation process as it matches your GL. And for your payroll, we make sure that the employees are properly paid in accordance with your human resources. Also, with that said, once we understand how you do your controls and process, we obtain 25 samples from each of these cycles, and we perform a control testing to ensure that your controls can be relied upon when we do our audit. So once we gain an understanding of your controls, we move on to the next phase of our audit, which is the final field work. So final field work, we obtain your trial balance when we audit your assets, liabilities, revenues, and expense. And lastly, we always consider fraud when we do our audits. So we make sure that we have this professional skepticism hat. So what that means is when we were presented documents, we make sure to audit them, not just to file it on a piece of folder. So ensure that it matches your records and third-party documentation. Also, we interview the management team, as well as one of your board members during the audit. So as a culmination of the audit process and our audit guidance that we follow, so this is the result. We identify that your financial statements are in accordance with accepted accounting principles issued by the United States of America through GASB. So I just wanted to as Jeff was mentioning a while ago, I would like to commend from top to bottom, from Mary, Jeff, down the line. You all did a great job, and keep it up. It's a very clean audit. We didn't find any material deficiencies during our audit. Also, on your board packet, I believe you have the management report, where we are describing that we have no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. That means that we were provided all the documents we need to have a successful audit. No disagreements with management, and we did not hire an outside CPA to help us perform the job. Okay, so as I've said a while ago, when we perform the audit, there's no control deficiencies. So all of your controls are properly in place and in order. No material weakness or any significant deficiencies are noted. So everything's in order. And again, I want to commend the district for doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank. I mean, it's almost getting a little, I'll just say a little mundane here. It's like how many years? It's like
But it's the first one that ever said, great job.
Yeah, yes,
Can you
so,
put that in writing, please?
I've heard this 22 times. Ken, you've heard this about 30 times.
Yeah, that's 32 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of our track record. John, did you have something to add?
Yes, I have a comment and a question, and, I love to review all this wonderful work you've done. I count 56 pages and 8 ounces of weight. So I want our customer base to understand we are very thorough in this process. The one question I have at the end of the conclusion, the restriction of use there, it's a public record already right now. Has the not nice people use these audit things against board members or staff or anything, falsifying records? I'm just curious on that one there. And I'm a highlighter, so I highlighted that restriction of use on conclusion there. If you'd like to comment on that quickly. Whoever. On the last page on the conclusion under CJ Brown.
Jonathan, would you like to?
Okay, so can you please repeat your question?
Sure, Ken, I use.
Yeah, it's just the second paragraph under above conclusion. It's the restriction of use. And I'm only bringing that up because it is public knowledge, but have this been used against districts or customers of yours saying that they're falsified records or things like that?
Okay, so are you talking about the on page 2 of the management report?
No, I'm way at the end.
Hold on.
The end of the,
Yeah.
it's restrictions on use clause in your front sheet. The last page of your first
Okay.
section there.
So, yeah, that's a good question. So, Director, so this, this language just mentions that this management report is intended for the use of the board and management, but the restriction does not limit, for this letter to be distributed to the public. In fact, if I'm in the shoes of the district, I would be happy to share this with flying colors, that, hey, our district is in great shape and we don't have any problems. And I'm proud to say that, that everything is in order.
Yeah, we as the district
Thank
make
you.
it available to the public for
Yeah.
transparency. I mean, that's what we choose to do. So that's exactly what we're following the order.
Thank you.
No, thank you once again for your presentation, and I'd like to echo your thanks and acknowledgement of staff having done just a great job to once again have a clean audit.
I have a technical question. In the front piece, it says that CJ Brown is formerly known as FADEC and whomever. Did they get changed sometime in the translation here? I'm auditing the auditors.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
know that there's
Integrated with some other company. I'm just trying to understand.
so I know that there's some consistency that I think for the since that we got this engagement, that you have always a clean audit. But trust me, we encountered. I myself, I've encountered a lot of fraud when I was when I was doing grant audits in other states. And 2 or 3 years ago, we have, in fact, uncovered a fraud in one of our water districts that we're auditing. I can't name the district, but it's about stealing assets.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, so we did have a question. Director Feldman asked your change in name and what's the change in the organization from FEDAC and Brown to CJ Brown?
Okay, that's a great question. So The reason behind the change in name because our former managing partner from Fedak and Brown, Chuck Fedak, he retired because he wanted to retire in Maui. So his remaining shares was bought out by Chris Brown.
Okay. Just,
Good explanation. Well, there you go.
I just wanted to.
So, if there are no further questions, we, one more?
No, I was going to make a recommendation.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation and thank you for, providing us another clean audit. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the Coastside County Water District Basic Financial Statement and Independent Auditor's Report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
Do I have a second?
I will second it.
That would be great. So moved and seconded.
Okay, Director Coverdale,
Yeah, aye.
Director Feldman,
Aye.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Aye.
President Michelson.
Aye. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I know. I caught myself there. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having me and Happy New Year.
Thank you,
Okay,
Jonathan.
thank you very much, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary,
Yeah.
6B, please.
Okay, so the next item that we have, since 2018, we have been using EKI for our for helping us with our capital project management and our hydraulic modeling. And so in April of 2022, the board approved $100,000 for 12 months for continued support from EKI. And that money has now been expended over 18 months. So that's good news for us. But we really value the work of EKI and helping us manage our day-to-day capital planning and coming in and helping us with ad hoc engineering services. So we would like to recommend that we move forward and go with another $100,000 for the next 12 months. So, and I don't know, we have John Sutter here, who we have been working with for a lot of years and provides us with great service.
Does board members have any thoughts or comments on this?
I have a comment. I would really like to compliment EKI. We talked about it many times on a time and materials not to exceed budget to please be frugal. And I think you guys have done a great job managing the budgets that we've given you. I really appreciate that because a lot of times in TM agreements, even with a not to exceed, there's comeback. And I, for one, find that really to be annoying and difficult, and it causes me to start to lack confidence or trust. I start feeling like I want to get 3 estimates or 5 estimates or whatever. So I just really wanted to make a general compliment. And when I look at the budgeting, for example, for EKI on projects, it just looks like it's always respectfully done and well within the terms, if not below. And I think that's great. It's nice to have an ongoing relationship, especially with the modeling, because it takes a lot to get up to speed on the model. It takes a lot to know how to manipulate it. And we're making some pretty major changes, or at least we're planning to. And so it's just great to have a consistent relationship. I know that I've heard from Mary that she really appreciates your writing. The things that you communicate in writing are clear and easy to work with. And so I think those are compliments to your services.
And that's coming from one of our tougher board members. So that means a lot. No, you have been a really great partner with this district. It's been very, very, very productive as we've transitioned out from the slide rule engineer to a modern engineering firm. So it's been really seamless in the time that I've been here. You've been super proactive. So I have really no reservation in authorizing another.
I kind of agree, and I'm happy it wasn't 56 pages and it wasn't 8 ounces of paperwork there. So it's pretty, I didn't count them all out for you, but I have you highlighted in green under the motion, and I have some blue and a couple little reds there. But anyway, I think we're all in support of this, and I would like to move forward with a motion to authorize the general manager to retain the professional service of EKI Environmental and Water Incorporated for capital project management and as needed engineering support, including hydraulic modeling for 12 months or not to exceed the budget of $100,000.
Second. Any other comments? If not, roll call, please.
Okay, Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Aye.
Director Muller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Aye.
President Michelson.
Aye. You know, and I can say, I remember a time where we nearly lost the model. I remember it was the board that you were on the board prior to my coming on, you guys authorized the model. Then we couldn't find it for a while. And it was, Ed Schmidt was tasked with finding it, and fast forward 20 years, what a valuable tool. Thanks for keeping it updated and using it to really show how robust and safe our system is. So thank you.
And thanks for coming out tonight. I appreciate you showing up.
Thanks for having me. Thank you again for the opportunity to continue for the district.
Perfect.
Cool. A technical question. These are 12-month terms and they went 18 months. Is there any legal implications for that? Okay. I'm just saying, I mean, I'm not complaining. It's just interesting. It's allowed to go till terms.
Yeah, I think so.
There's no official term on it.
Yeah, because they were within budget.
So for this one lasts 2 years.
I think Jonathan needs to give the district an extra 6 months, maybe. I'm not sure how to incorporate it. I'll think about that and maybe coordinate with
If it
Mary.
don't last for 2 years, we wouldn't complain either. Is that right? They're just checking.
Thank you.
I had a question. Can I ask
Sure.
a question? Jonathan, how often what's the stability of the platform you're running it on? And are we looking at obsolescence in the next few years? Or, it seems like an unnamed IT company phases us out of our telecommunication equipment every 2 years. So I thought I'd check in with you and see where we're at on our model and what we should anticipate.
Yeah, so the district's model is in WaterCAD.
Yeah.
It's a Bentley product. It's used pretty widely, competes with InfoWater Pro. But the nice thing about every water model is that it all runs on EPA Net, which is like a free software that was created by EPA. So you could take your model, you could export it into EPA Net, you could build it in another modeling, import it to another modeling platform. It's all compatible, so you're not at risk to lose.
Yeah, good question.
Jay,
or was water coming from a different direction that we expect. Alcatraz de Santa Rosa. On Alcatraz and Santa Rosa. And if you have any questions about this, that'd be great. And if not, I was going to move on to Ocean Colony. Just wanted to make sure the board didn't have any questions about what we're doing out here, or proposing that we do.
James, you know me,
Pretty straightforward.
I'm always pitching for not using 2-inch blow-offs and going bigger. So we
Got
can
it.
compromise and do 4-inch blow-offs instead of 2-inch, please.
Sure, we can talk to John about that, about the design.
Thank you.
You got it.
Well, let's just blow it off.
And I don't even have to write it down because now John can.
So we're still finding galvanized pipe. Wow.
Yeah, you know, there's probably some out there, but every time we find it, we get rid of it as quick as Luke can, as soon as we understand where
Yeah.
it goes to and from. And this is just some really old legacy piping out on the bluff there that just, it's been there forever, and we didn't realize it until we found it one day.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the Miramar neighborhood. That is definitely an old neighborhood. So that totally makes sense. Yeah, so let's move forward to the golf course. Is that what you wanted to do?
Okay, great. Yeah, and if you could go to the golf course, this is a loop that even John Davis and I talked about. Redondo, if you look at Redondo on the top right-hand corner, there's an orange line there. Those mains aren't connected, so we're going to loop that. We've been wanting to do that for quite a while, quite a bit of time. And then the green line to the right of that main runs really essentially on a fence line between two properties. We want to get rid of that and add the red pipeline to the right of that green one to have better hydraulic capacity there. And then we'll also, what we really like is we're going to be able to get rid of a main that crosses the 10th and I think 16th fairway, which, yeah, the last thing I want to do is blow up a golf course with an old water main. So we're going to cut and cap lower left-hand corner. We're going to cut and cap the main that crosses the fairway there.
Okay.
And then we're going to have to relocate a couple of meters on the top.
Yeah,
left.
hang on, we're gonna take a-
James, can we take a quick
Go ahead.
second?
We've got a board member who may have a conflict.
Yeah, so Director
Yeah,
Bowman
go ahead.
said he might live within 1,000 feet of the St. Andrews portion of this project. And so I recommended that he recuse himself and leave the room. And so that's what I think he's getting ready to do.
Very good.
I'm not sure of the distance, but it could be.
Yeah. I was going to tell you the reason that there were only 56 pages, because it's 1 page per $1 million of net worth. Approximately.
Yeah.
So we should let the record reflect at least that
Things a lot.
Director Feldman left the room to decide.
Should we close the door?
No, he's going into the next. Okay, no, I'd like to thank Director Feldman for, out of abundance of caution, recusing himself from the side. Okay, Bob, please, James, continue.
So we're gonna create a loop out in Redondo. We're gonna get rid of a main that crosses a couple of fairways. That's a huge liability, and eliminate some water main and replace it with some service lines. EKI has modeled this to make sure that all fire flows will not be adversely impacted by this work, and that this will hydraulically work for us. And this is just one of those projects we've been kind of kicking around, and EKI has been great at picking up these little odd projects that solve a lot of little problems with very little effort. So that's what we're looking for. $66,200 for just a quick design, 90%, and then finalize and go to bid. And I think our estimates, before John does all his work, Darren and I are guessing the Ocean Colony is going to be about 300, and the Alcatraz and Santa Rosa job is going to be about 250, 275. We'll see when we go out to bid, but that's just kind of the magnitude.
Professional service agreement with Environmental and Water Inc., EKI, in parentheses, for engineering services for Alcatraz Avenue, Santa Rosa Avenue, and Ocean Colony pipeline projects for a not to exceed budget of $66,200.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Lisa, please.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman. Okay.
No, he's absent.
Oh, sorry.
Director Feldman is absent.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Aye.
President Michelson.
Aye. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
we can get Director Feldman back. This item is over.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Travel safely.
Yep.
Thank you, Bob, for,
It's close. I don't know.
yeah, no, it's abundance of caution. That makes sense. Thank you. Okay. Storm damage, Palisades Canyon.
Okay, James, you're on.
Thank you very much. This is damage that happened last New Year's, not the most recent one, but the one before when we had that New Year's Eve storm. This is to hire a local engineering firm, Rosenblum, out of San Jose. We kind of shopped around because this is unique work out in the Palacios Canyon. We shopped around a little bit with some local contractors that have had some success with working with Rosenblum, and found that they're very effective and kind of a no fluff, get some things done engineering firm. They've done a lot of work in Hillsborough and also Burlingame on some dirt access roads. So these are a couple of slides. And Lisa, if you could bring up Exhibit B, I believe, that has the map, the first image with the dots, attachment B, site overview. So there's essentially 5 spots. When we bring up the map, I'll kind of talk about where they're located. We had a culvert washout that protects our Palacios pipeline. Like it. So we've decided to engage Rosenblum. He came out and took a look at it. The PE who runs the company, he's suggested some technologies that are, it's called a hill figure slope stabilization basket. Darren and I really like the idea. We found out that San Francisco is also using it over by 5 corners or 5 points. That's above the slide that's blocking access to Palacios Lake right now. So that, I think, speaks volumes to this technology. And they're essentially wire baskets that are flat, and then you bring in native and just kind of terrace them in, and they create friction and structure for the slope without building some sort of armored wall or soldier wall. So in the site overview, you see that little square on the very first part of the canyon. That's the culvert project. I'll show you some pictures of. We had Jim Steele try to approach Fish and Game on permitting and a replacement of this culvert that washed out during the storm. They've pretty much stopped and said, we want stamped plans. So if Fish and Game wants stamp plans, we're going to go ahead and give it to them, as simple as that may be. And then as you move towards the top of that picture, site overview, I don't know if you can make out the letters. They're labeled as site A, B, C, and D. That was part of our plan that we presented to the PUC. And if you go down to that first picture, that is site A, where there's a little bit of a slump in the road. And then if you go to the next picture, it's kind of hard to see, but I think Dustin did a great job putting this together. This is where some water got trapped into the road and created a little bit of a slump, but we clearly need to, at site B, excavate this and get some competent soil and structure into that roadway so we don't lose our new pipeline that we put in just a few years ago. And then if you go down to the next one, Lisa, I don't know if you can see the steep one. This is where we're on the PUC lands. That's a good 20, 25 feet top to bottom. Steep, tough access. We need solutions. We're going to need to have a good, clean plan to approach San Francisco Design Review Committee, Project Review Committee, and also abide by the needs and wants of Army Corps, Fish and Game, and State Water Resources.
What's a creek?
That's the trifecta of permitting out in the canyon. And then Lisa, if you can scroll down to site D, this one's kind of hard to see, but this is also a good 15 feet down to the creek bed. Very difficult site to work in. And I think Darren and this engineer, Rosenblum, have come up with some really good low impact ways to get in and repair these sites. So I think that kind of gives you a tour of it. What we're asking for tonight is approval for a budget of $65,000. And that is for, if you look at the proposal, that includes engineering, construction documents, and help during construction. So it's not that steep once you put in the construction portion of the bidding and engineering during construction. We've already had them start a topographic survey to the tune of about $20,000 of this area that will be required to do this work. And I'm waiting on a bid for geotech from a local geotech firm out of Watsonville that I know that'll be having a proposal for us later. So this isn't the total cost for the project, but this is where we need to get started. And as you can see, we're already in next winter, and we do need to get moving on this so we can do it next summer. And if you have any questions, happy to chime in.
How about an Army surplus amphibious vehicle? There you go. Crawl through this stuff.
Yeah, I would like to just ask staff, would we need any additional permission on access to get in with construction equipment and material, or do we have the right of way to go in there?
Yeah, we have the right of way. We just talked to Sarah at the tree farm and coordinate with San Francisco what we're doing and make sure that they're okay with what we're doing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, no, I will certainly, I'm glad you vetted the firm of Underwood and Rosenblum, because this is environmentally sensitive work and you really want somebody credible. When you go to the permitting agencies, you want to really use a credible civil engineering firm. So this was really important, to pick the right guy so we can actually get this done, because this is, like I said, this is a trifecta of permitting agencies. So good luck with this.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. If
I move we authorize,
questions, please, yeah.
I move we authorize the general manager to enter into a professional services agreement with Underwood and Rosenblum, Inc. for civil engineering services for the road repair project in Palacios Canyon for a not to exceed budget of $65,000.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, so we'll take it to a vote, Lisa.
I'd like
What is the comment before?
yeah,
Sorry.
very briefly, the comment would be our customer base has to realize the value of this area for our pipeline. This is an investment that provides continuous flow of water to our treatment plant.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of our sources.
Key.
Yeah.
So it's not just fixing ground, it's fixing our whole system. Thank you.
No, thank you for letting our customer base know. Okay, please proceed with the vote.
Director Coverdale?
Aye.
Director Feldman?
Aye.
Director Miller?
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes. Aye.
President Michelson.
Aye. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is, I gotta say, of all the time I've been here, this is really one of the more intriguing items. And I really hope that this could work. So I'm really excited to hear about this.
Well, James is going to take it again.
Okay, so this is pretty much the other end of the pipeline that we were just talking about, the other end of the Torres pipeline. As you know, we've been offered a DOE grant to the tune of $300,000 of matching funds for solar and hydroelectric projects that were identified in a 2019 industrial assessment by the San Francisco State University School of Engineering. We did a voluntary energy assessment with SF State, and that made us eligible for the grant funding. We reached out to HDR about the hydroelectric portion because, as Glenn mentioned, we don't have a whole lot of experience in that arena. We have looked at the Crystal Springs Vault as a potential for hydroelectric generation. And granted that we often, if we have a good water year, we don't use Crystal Springs very much. We want to make sure that we evaluate that accordingly in terms of if we put it there, are we really going to use it there? Or we try to put it at the inlet to Nunez, because Nunez is always on and always flowing one way or another. So we actually found the team at HDR that has worked with Alameda County on the very facility that Glenn was mentioning, and are very familiar with the technology there. So that made us quite comfortable. And for a professional service agreement with HDR to do a feasibility study, we're looking at $42,422. And even if the study says it doesn't pencil out now, somebody in 10 years is going to ask this question. And as Glenn has mentioned, PG&E is not getting any cheaper, as we all know. So we can decide as a group, as professionals, if the payoff period, the return on investment is a little longer than normal, we can decide if we want to do there or not. But we need numbers to make those educated decisions. So this study will give us lots of answers to decide if we want to move forward or not with hydroelectric power at Nunez or Crystal Springs Vault.
Yeah, no, it's very intriguing. And Bob,
I'm sorry, do I infer that this was discussed previously with the board in 2019? Have you?
I don't remember.
I don't remember this. I have never, it doesn't ring any bells. I know I'm getting old and all, but it just doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Talk about this. This is new.
So yeah, no, I remembered.
It's not bad. It's just new. That's all.
Correct. So I remember asking and hearing two reports prior on this subject. And one we couldn't find. I was told it was a Kennedy Jenks report, but we can't find it.
There is.
Yeah. And then at the time, PG&E rates didn't show that as beneficial. I think we all know what's happened to PG&E rates since then. And then this one was done more recently. It's subject I'm really excited about, and I really appreciate the board considering it tonight because I'm super excited. I think that anything we can do to lower our costs benefits the customer, it benefits the water utility, and it makes us a forward-thinking and forward-looking agency, which I'm really proud. And I think I want to thank James and Mary for responding to my requests on this, but also I'm really excited that no matter how it turns out, that we're constantly looking and thinking on ways that we can be better, and we're not just doing the same old, but we're looking at how we can be a better agency. And I think exploring this, and I got to tell you, the $42,000 to do this study, I'm 2 thumbs up. This is great.
No, it's very innovative. I mean, I'm not at all questioning it. I think it's interesting, and I did not remember it, but it's obviously something that people are thinking about all the time, and I'm glad somebody's taken the initiative to go forward with it. Is it 300K a possibility, or is that maybe if we do this, there'll be some of that for us?
So we have actually been approved for the grant. However, we're going to, part of it is we have to decide if we're going to take it and use it or not.
Oh, yeah, right. No, we're approved that if we do it.
This study that was done in 2019, we ended up we did one recommendation where we replaced all the LEDs and everything of all our facilities. The other items were more expensive, and we were contacted by San Francisco State University and saying, hey, you might be able to get a grant. So we quickly did the application.
Good. So one other thing that the board should know is when we met with Alameda County, we specifically asked them to give us their comments on HDR looking at this, and they gave us a 2 thumbs up, which gives me huge confidence as we put this forward to the board.
No, yeah, please. Ken.
I was just going to make one comment that I was here when it was discussed with Kennedy Jenks, because we were just bringing the pipeline down from Carter Hill and Cahill Ridge. Down Cahill Ridge. And the issue at that time wasn't anything other than passive. It was just trying to rely on that 1,000-foot vertical head. And the idea was to have a passive turbine inside the pipeline and try to capture energy from it. But I think this concept of doing it at Nunes is so much smarter because, back in those days, we figured we'd be running Crystal Springs whenever. And who knows how that's going to go. But as long as it's coming from Crystal Springs or Pelositos, Nunes is the perfect place to do it. So, but just to let you know, and we did get Kennedy Jenks to study it, but I'm not sure there was a formal written deal. I think it was more the engineers came into a meeting and we were asking those questions. They went back, they looked at it, analyzed it, and came back. So it might be in minutes.
Oh, I see.
But it's not going to be like a Kennedy Jenks spent 28 hours with 4 different engineering people there.
Thanks for clarifying.
Well, that's now again, I'm getting old too. So it's a memory, but I remember because we were asking, my goodness, man, we got this huge pipe, all this pressure.
The other part that has significantly changed is low head energy recovery has really progressed. And I went ahead and talked to a couple, there's a manufacturer in Washington State, and they do this all day long. And they specialize in low head energy recovery for water utilities. And some of the upside of that is it means all their components are NSF approved, so the regulator doesn't have heartburn over it. And the design of the machine is geared so that it's running at a low energy, at the lower head curve is its peak efficiency. Whereas like the Hetch Hetchy Dam is a high-speed turbine using a high-pressure jet of water at high speed. These are low-speed turbines. And the companies that have specialized in those are in the U.S., and they've been doing it for decades, and they've got it dialed in. So if this report shows that it's promising, we're not, again, we're working conservatively, and we're not putting a great liability on the district.
I think this is an excellent move because we all have heard over the last couple of years that they're wanting to remove more power out there. And then I think at times some government thinks we're going back to chipmunks in there spinning the wheels.
Yeah.
So
PG&E rates are not going down.
we got to get out of the chipmunk era and get into this new information here with the college participating in it. As you mentioned, that's very, very positive out there.
No, I'm super excited about this, and the time, I like the timeline too. 8 weeks we could be revisiting this. So this is let's authorize it tonight and let's get that clock ticking. So please, how about a motion?
All right.
I will go ahead and make a motion to authorize the general manager to retain the professional services of HDR Inc. to conduct a feasibility study to evaluate the hydroelectric energy recovery potential of the Pelositos pipeline for a not to exceed budget of $42,422. So move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. So Lisa, please.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Aye.
Director Muller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Aye.
President Michaelson.
Aye. Great, thank you. So I look forward to 2 months from now.
It's great.
Let's hold them to it. Thank you.
And Mary, thanks for putting it forward.
Okay, next, quarterly, financial review.
I'm gonna let Jeff handle this one.
Oh, Jeff, you're okay. Get you up to speed here.
No coughing and sneezing during this presentation.
No coughing and sneezing. Thank you, Mary. This is an informational report, our financial results through the first 6 months of the fiscal year. As outlined in Mary's staff report, our operational results are, the key story is that we have not sold water at the rate we budgeted, nor have we had to produce it at the rate we assumed in the budget as well. We're 6% below the budget for water sales through December, $443,000 worth of variance. And that is offset to some extent, partially by favorable variances in non-operating revenues, primarily interest earnings that the team has achieved through the investments in the LAIF program. We also had some favorability year to date in property taxes and the excess ERAF funding totaling $70,000. And then another 40 combined by higher than budgeted late penalties and other income. On the expense side, there's a related story, obviously, and that is that we purchased less water than we budgeted. So we're $259,000 favorable in SFPUC water purchases through December. And also because we're using the Crystal Springs pump station to a lesser extent than we assumed in the budget, we've had a significant amount of savings in electricity costs at the pump station, $210,000 year to date versus budget. We've also had savings, as we've talked about, I think in the last board meeting, there was favorability associated with staffing. The 2 open positions, one of which I filled. So I'm working hard to get rid of that variance, right? But we're $277,000 favorable year to date in salary and benefits for the district as a whole. And that will obviously not continue, but that's a significant number year to date. And then there are some a conglomeration of our other expense accounts on the operating side that together amount to $63,000 in favorability. So the bottom line is favorable year to date. On the revenue side, the total is $180,000 unfavorable, but on the expense side, $809,000 favorable. So at the end of the day, we're $629,000 below favorable to budget at the bottom line. So from an operating perspective, that's a high level view of our results so far. And then on CIP, Mary's done a nice job of summarizing the spend year to date by project. I know we've spent a little north of $1 million on the Nunez water treatment plan, and I think, James, you have a presentation later tonight about Nunez, correct? And then the other projects are outlined effectively by Mary, and the total spend being $2,369,000 so far this year in CIP. All told, those elements are resulting in a cash balance just about at $13 million at the end of December. And I'm anxious to be able to work with Mary and James and team on revisiting our projections and extending our cash flow forecast, which is something we've started to do. So that's our report, and I'll step back and allow for any questions or comments that you have.
Thank you. And do I have any questions from board members, Bob?
As always, we manage our money very well, and I never question that. And we keep our eye on the ball and keep our bottom line looking healthy. Speaking of which, we're about $2.4 million in capital expense through 6 months. I hate to keep doing this. It'll be like a broken record. It's about 8.4 mil this year, the total budget. So we're going to have to work really, really hard for the rest of 6 months to spend the rest of that, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we might not spend it all. Is that true? Does the Feldman factor fly high again this year, or is that just an aberration? I'm just trying.
No, we will spend less this year. We are working on, trying to estimate that. A lot is just in terms of, permitting and, we get slowed down. It's just we have some difficult projects that we're trying to put through and do. And so, anyway, so we're
We're gonna have a little capital left over. I mean, I'm saying that's the way to go. So when it comes to budgeting time again, going for the next 2 years forward, we'll be talking about that some more, to see how that may affect the the rate increases and stuff. I'm just checking.
Yeah.
So we haven't, Feldman factor is not out of play yet, is that?
Well, and I think,
It's early in the year, Bob.
Yeah, right. Early in the year.
well, and the real key is we have to get our wonderful staff up off the medical table for a while.
Yeah.
Well, that'll save
Well, we
us
wore them out, obviously. We're all out there recuperating, so
Yeah, really.
I understand. Just checking.
No,
thank you.
thank you. I know staff is doing the best they can to spend this money and keep that Feldman factor, in check. So no, thank you. Thank you for doing the best you can.
Thank you.
Okay, that was informational only, so we can move ahead to the next item. And you want me to I can take this, or
We can take it.
yeah. So I was not lobbied by any of my fellow board members, so therefore I've made the decision just to keep the committees the way they are. I think everyone is doing a really great job in their committees. I enjoy the ones I sit on, and I know I don't ever want to be on finance. So I'm happy there's two of you who will take that.
Come on.
We hear a lot about the Feldman factor.
So I'm happy to keep them the way they are, because I tell you, finance that's a thankless one, but it's a very, very, very important one, because without it, nothing happens around here. So I'm very comfortable with those. The advisory committees, I'm going to dissolve the urban water management plan, and not much has happened there. I'm going to dissolve strategic planning committee. Just because they're dissolved doesn't mean they can't be revived at a later date. So no hard feelings if anybody sits on those. Water reuse committee, I will let stand. I do believe we have a water reuse presentation coming up, I'm sure, in the next meeting or so. What do you think?
About February,
March?
Yeah. So
Based on that, I will decide what to do with the water reuse. So that said, anyone have any questions? I know, see the representations to the various organizations, that would stay the same. And is there anything else I need to do? Does anybody have any comments?
I have a comment. I want to thank the board members for applying their skills and strengths in the areas that they're good at towards these committees, and putting in the time and energy that they do to bring forward their knowledge to the board and to the long-term prosperity of this district. And I think we get a lot more from the skill set that the individual board members bring to bear. And I wanted to take this moment to say, hey guys, I really appreciate it. And Chris said it differently than I'll say it, but I really appreciate Bob's financial scrutiny. And I really appreciate the way John looks at things from an ag community and from what the public's looking at, with maybe more politics in it than I do. And I think that Ken looks at it, obviously today we heard his historical perspective. And Chris, you get a lot of credit for the historical, but you also get a financial, or sort of, should we say, business partnership with the community. And each of you brings that strength with humbleness, and you do it eloquently, and you do it in a way that makes the teams really work. And so I wanted to say that is one of the things that probably the greatest strength of this board and this water district. So thank you.
No, and thank you. And that's why I really didn't feel the need to reshuffle the committees. I mean, really, we have the best people sitting, using their level of expertise to the highest possible use to better this district.
We really elected the right guy, president.
So, do we need to vote?
We do need to vote.
We do. Okay, we do need to vote
On the last one?
We need to vote. So we have this, last page of the report has all the standing committees, the advisory committees, two of which are going to be dissolved, and all the appointments. And so somebody should make a motion to approve.
Okay. Yeah, I just wonder what the justification was for the motion.
So it used to be that the board president, this is going back about 5 or so years, the president would just make an
Yeah,
appointment.
that's what I
That was
read.
the long practice for a long time. And then one of your colleagues, when they were president, recommended that the board take action on the approvals of these committees. And so ever since then, that's been what we need to do.
Okay, so let's have a motion, please.
So I move we approve the Coastside County Water District Board Committees as amended, meaning dissolving the two of the advisory committees, Urban Water Management Plan Committee and Strategic Planning Committee.
Second, please.
I will second that, and with a brief comment, if I may, Mr. Chair. I think these are very valuable committees, not only for Coastside County Water, but for our whole community. And I hope LAFCO gets stronger with your position on there, because it looks like there's going to be a lot more property juggling here in the next few years.
Yeah, and the advisory committees can be resurrected. They can be renamed. So that's the discretion of the chair. As we see a need, we can form one at a meeting's notice. Yeah. So we can remain ready to deal with whatever may come down the pike. And like you said, there's a lot going on in this community.
Technical question, sorry. This is dated January 10th. That's right. This is not correct.
No, that was
That's what it was. So
2023.
this will be redone.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. This is the old one.
Yeah.
This is not presented as the new amended one. We'll get that. Okay, I just changed that.
Okay, so thank you. Now,
No, that's fine.
Ken?
The only comment I would make is I would recommend that the board consider going forward a strategic planning session. It's been a long time. And I think it'd be really good. We have a new assistant general manager. And at some point, I think it'd be really wise for us to kind of regroup and see where we are, where we want to go.
So Ken, I agree with that really strongly, but the last time we did a sort of strategic session, we did it actually as a full board. And I was really impressed that I get it. It took a time out of the whole group, but I thought as a group, we moved that bar much further forward than we had in the past. And I liked doing it as a group. If the team is willing to put up the time, which I'm willing to say I'm willing to put in the time, I would be in favor of it.
That's what you were recommending.
Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't say put back the committee. You just said,
no.
he just said do it as a board.
Correct. And that's what I'm
Oh,
agreeing.
you're agreeing to that.
Yeah, because that's how we did it last time. The last
No, I
time,
agree.
yeah, we have met as a board.
It works better when we're all.
Vetted us and made us say the Pledge of Allegiance forward and backwards. And
So what is your vision here?
Well, all I'm saying is it's not appropriate for us to make a motion or do anything, but because we're taking away this committee,
Yeah.
which I think is fine, it's not an issue, but I just think that the board needs to come together again and look going forward 5 years or whatever we're going to try to do. We did it before. I think it was very productive. I think we all got on the same page, and I think we made a lot of progress as a district because of it. But that's just something to discuss.
So there are some legal issues regarding the dissolving of the committees. They're only meant to be temporary.
Yes.
So that's why, I'd rather maintain the flexibility, dissolve them now. We can certainly reform them, at such time we feel a need, and we can certainly discover whether that need is present.
And I'm not,
Making-
I think taking the committee away is fine.
Yeah.
What I was suggesting is that I think that we as a
should drop the
group
subject.
need to go forward with a strategic plan.
So like
Not
a retreat or?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like a 4-hour retreat or
Yes.
something, okay.
Strategic planning
Yeah, yeah,
session.
Yeah, we had
Do it
one in-
offsite.
we had one in Miramar that was great. We had
Jeffrey something to
I thought
work on.
town was really good.
Yeah.
Enough for consideration.
Yeah, no, so,
And Patrick said if we come to his facility, it cuts the cost.
Yeah, but
You gotta have it within the jurisdiction of the district.
within the jury.
If you're gonna have a special board meeting, yeah.
No kidding.
Unless
Cancel the
there's certain
trip road trip to
exceptions
his
to that.
office.
Well, he
Certain
likes to
exceptions.
drive down the coast highway, man. He's from here. Yeah.
no, so I'm certainly in favor of that. I would really like to, a good, goal driven, as opposed to, I really would like to make best use of our time, goal driven, maybe who would run it? But, professional facilitator. I mean, so sometimes,
Into that.
yeah, sometimes there's a value in that who can
No, we
really
did we did
keep people on task, with goals, so that if we're gonna give up half a day of our time, that we really come out with some real positive results. So I'm in favor of that.
I attended one with our citizens FBI group Saturday, all day offsite, and no special agents in charge. And we planned our year ahead for strategic planning on what we can do to help communities. And then I guess the watershed is not in our district technically. We buy water from them. But what if we had an offsite at one of the properties in the watershed for strategic planning?
Yeah, so let's huddle with Mary and we can talk about the logistics. Comply with the law.
Staff will
Yeah.
take it away and.
I didn't know if we could go to one of the
No,
properties.
that's not on
Or we could go to O'Shaughnessy.
There we go. So we still need to vote here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a motion, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When we get a
Second,
second, so we need a
Need to vote,
Director
okay.
Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
the.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
aye.
President Michelson.
Aye. Okay, so,
Oh, boy.
Mary, you can handle this. This is something we do every year, I believe.
In January of each year, the board appoints board member representative alternatives to participate in the LAFCO election of offices. So past practice for the new year is the board appoints alternate representatives in succession by naming the vice president, followed by board members in order of seniority.
Yeah, perfect. So,
Need a motion?
I can make a motion to appoint the CCWD board member representative alternates to participate in San Mateo Local Agency Formation Commission LAFCO election of officers.
okay, second, please.
My second.
Okay, Lisa.
Okay, Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes, aye.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President
Aye.
Reynolds, and President Michelson.
Aye. Okay, James. Update 29.
Yeah, a lot of updates for a 2-year project, but
Yeah.
we all know why that happened. In essence, we're in filter 2. This is getting kind of repetitive after we've done filter 4 and filter 3. Lisa, if you don't mind bringing up the pictures, we can just skip right to that. Yeah, even the contract data sheet would be good if you can scroll to that, Lisa. We are looking at a potential, at a potential finish date in May. It's more likely going to be kind of June-ish from what I can see. But we are nearing the end of this project. They've got 171 remaining contractual days. I don't think they'll need them all. But I would like to just kind of point out the approved change order percentage is 1.2%. We're going to try to keep that. We still got a little bit that we're going to add to that, and some potential change orders are getting sorted out. But we're going to be well under 5% and hopefully well under 3% at the end of the project. So Mary and I are very proud of that. And my hat goes off to everyone involved in the project. HDR has been really, really good on this project, and Ranger has, their superintendent's been a really good problem solver. So next slide, please. EnduraFlex coating and filter 2 is done. We're commissioning the valves for filter 2, and they're installing the air scour piping and under drains right now. Next slide, please. The 3-week look ahead is more filter 2 stuff. We're going to be testing the under drains and adding media, disinfecting, and then checking all the operations of their various valves in this filter. And then down to the pictures, which says a lot. Top left picture, this is the blasting operation of the concrete box that is filter 2. The next page is more kind of taping off from prep before they spray. Third picture from the top, you can see the guys in there. I believe they're removing the masking after the coating. The picture on the far right is the spark testing. So that little broom that he is pushing around there will actually make a noise if there's a void in the coating. So that's part of the inspection and testing after they coat the concrete walls with the EnduraFlex. Lower left-hand corner, these are the guys spraying this 100% solids EnduraFlex coating. And the next picture with the ladder, you can see the studs. Those little studs that are sticking up out of the floor in that second to the bottom picture from the left are what hold down the under drains, the stainless steel under drains that keep the media from leaving the filter and also allow us to blast it with air when we're backwashing. Bottom row, third one from the left, you can see the steepness and difficulty of getting in and out of this filter. It's a good 20 feet to the bottom, several extension ladders. So they're pretty good about remembering what they need to bring when they go in there. Last picture on the right, that is an actuator for one of the air scour valves that allows the air to go into the filter when we're backwashing. So the next filter is filter 1, and then it's the clear well. And I just want to also mention we've been kind of struggling with figuring out a good clear well bypass plan. And Stephen from Ranger came up with something that I think kind of surprised HDR and Sean. And Sean described the idea to me today about a very nice way to do a clear well bypass that's not going to create a bunch of extra work. So more on that later. But Stephen's a superintendent that really thinks on his feet and comes up with solutions rather than standing around saying, I don't know, what do you guys want to do? So it's been a really good project. It's been a long one. We appreciate your patience with rebuilding the most important asset we own.
Thank you, Ken.
So I have different documents in my possession that say could be done as early as April and could be done as early as May. And I really like the could be done as early as April one. So I just wondered, is it really now May, not April?
The slide says May, so I think it has pushed to May a little bit.
Okay, so it's now May, not April, because we've been seeing April, which I thought was so exciting. You know, April Fool's.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, the reality's setting in, and they're moving hard, and you know, it might be April, but I don't want to speak on behalf of Rangers Progress, but so they're really getting there.
It's May.
Yeah, so far it's May.
I'm just happy that we're
Thank
close.
you for asking.
so thank you.
Me too.
Mary?
Okay,
Please.
next item. So in December, Hanson Bridget published a newsletter discussing some recent court cases on the California Public Records Act. And I've asked Patrick if he can fill the board in on these decisions.
Yes, I'm happy to, and I'm going to give a little bit of background. And by the way, you should thank your general manager. I was going to think about advocating for an attorney's report and would have been much longer than the time frame that Mary gave me for this presentation. So it's going to be kind of 2 minutes. It'll be quicker than that. So the California Public Records Act, and I'm not going to go into detail in the cases because 2 of them really aren't applicable to us, but there's some implications that we can take from them. So as all of you know, the Public Records Act is one of the key California transparency laws. Basically says that the public has the right to public records. It's not an unlimited right. So there are numerous exemptions to the disclosure of public records. But you need express legal authority to withhold records or portions of records. Some of the common exceptions that you all might be familiar with are like the attorney-client privilege, personnel information, water utility usage data comes up for us pretty regularly, and things like that. I will say this, Public Records Act requests can be super time consuming. They can involve a ton of staff time. They can involve legal time to be sure we're not disclosing some of the things that are exempt from disclosure and being sure we comply, because the law is set up in a way to be super favorable to those who are requesting records. So there's basically laws that, statutes that guide us in this. And we need to pay attention to those, but there's also a number of cases that come down. There's usually a few every year that interpret the California Public Records Act and how it should be applied. And so that's why we kind of keep an eye out for cases. Just on the statutory changes, I just want to highlight one major one. So a year ago, the California Public Records Act was reorganized and recodified. So those of us who deal with it on a regular basis know kind of the statutes, particularly the lawyers. It's California Government Code section 62500 and everything that follows. It's no longer 62500. It is now, it's not quite here yet. It's 7,920 and a whole bunch of statutes that follow like that. And then it's been reorganized in different ways. And there's been some cases. So that's what this article in your agenda packet's about. It's about 3 cases that came down in the last 3 months. Hanson Bridget, we represent a number of public agencies, so we do have attorneys that kind of keep an eye on this. You'll notice that my name isn't on the back.
Yeah, I noticed that.
After that. But Brendan Adams, who's come here and who I work with on a regular basis, and he really helps us with Public Records Act. He's certainly here at Coastside responding to those and for a number of our public agency clients. So he is on that. He's one of the drafters of that. So we do kind of keep an eye on. So, one of those cases is like a police records case. One of them is a litigation case. So even though the facts of the cases don't necessarily apply to us individually or water districts individually or transportation districts or cities, we look at these cases and kind of say, okay, well, how does that help us interpret the law? And so kind of the 2 main takeaways from those 3 cases as applied to Coastside are this. Courts will broadly construe the Public Records Act in favor of disclosure. So that's kind of the general principle. And the exceptions, when we apply exceptions from disclosure, they will be narrowly applied. So broadly, we got to disclose. And if we're going to use exemptions and say we're not going to disclose certain things, the courts are going to look at that narrowly. It's nothing new to us. That's kind of how we guide our public agencies in doing that. And that's why in a number of situations, rather than withholding the whole document, what we will do is we'll say, okay, we've got this document deals with it. We're going to redact some of the information that can be withheld from disclosure. So those are some of the practical ways of implementing that. So that's one of the main principles from these cases. Another one is that the district is not required to retain public records longer than our record retention laws or record retention policies. And so we do have record retention policies. One of the other authors of that publication, Alexandra Atencio, she's one of our main public agency litigators. And one of the things that she will say is, hey, number one, you got to have a records retention policy. Number 2, you should follow it. And it's super hard for public agencies. And it's super hard for me as a general counsel who often goes back 20 years to look at the history to say, yeah, let's destroy all these records. And so there's a balance in that. But some of the litigators will say record retention says destroy it after, you can destroy it after 5 years or after 10 years, those records should be gone. But it's very hard for those of us in transactions, those of us who work in the office, those of us who deal with these records to just get rid of them. So that's one of the principles of one of these cases. So that's a quick summary. I think I might have done it in 2 minutes. I'm not quite sure. And obviously we live and breathe Public Records Act like we live and breathe Brown Act. Happy to answer any questions now or, Mary and Lisa and others, Gina called regularly.
So I have a question. What's the board's role in reviewing the public records policy, the retention policy and the that for this? Is this a general manager decision or is this a board decision? And I know that a lot of our decisions are strategic, where we're going, how we're representing our consumers. But I'm kind of curious what your take on that is.
Could I just answer that?
Absolutely.
A few years ago, we actually revised our retention policy, and we did bring it to the board for your approval. And so, as part of that, we also implemented Laserfish, and which has it does have the ability to set retention levels and things, and it's one of the things we're working on, and will be one of Jeff's priorities as well. But we are, it is something that we do have. We actually have a really nicely prepared policy that we pulled together a few years ago.
And it is based on statute. There are statutory
Right.
guidelines for what can and cannot be in a retention policy and records. And there's also guidance, I think it's from attorney generals, but anyway, one of the state agencies has a guidance document on what they would recommend. It gels with the statutes.
And then the other question that I would ask kind of as an individual board member is, it seems like getting some guidance from the district on how those records, for instance, I get emails related to the district. How long do I have to keep those, or can I delete those immediately? That would be great guidance to get from either Pat or staff, depending on who's appropriate, so that we as board members can be in the best possible compliance with the law and doing the right thing. Because it would be embarrassing to be caught out simply because we hadn't asked.
Yeah, and our general guidance is that all board members should be using their Coastside email addresses, because then the emails are on the system. Because one of the things that would happen if you don't, if we get a Public Records Act request for direct communications with board members, if you don't always use your district email, it would require searching your personal email if you use your personal email for district business.
It makes sense.
And there were cases that came down on that a number of years ago.
Because don't we own about half of Iron Mountain? Is that where the records all get shipped to? It seems like we've been buying into that thing for a long time.
But we have dug pretty deeply into our records. There are times have coming, or the RRRs and, and.
But we also have implemented the retention policy in a lot of the records we've gotten rid of. So like old accounts payable records.
Yeah.
So Gina's actually done a really good job of kind of combing through Iron Mountain. And so we're trying to keep that going, and really, we're working on it. Because we do realize, we're the brunt of the public records requests. They can be a lot of work and a lot of, So.
This board has constantly worked to be open, and there's no secrets when you're delivering one commodity water.
Nothing to hide here.
And that was all of this when I talked to Marion about this document, was that when requests come in for public records, if there's any doubt from the public, they go to legal, Pat and his associates to vet it and do what's right. So it's it's in good hands. Yeah. I mean, other than that, I'm not sure how we would keep ahead of stuff. So that's the right thing to do, and that makes sense. And as these come out, we just rely on counsel.
I write notes on my hand.
Huh?
I keep it simple. I just write notes on my hand, and then I wash my hands sometimes.
All right, guys.
All right, no, that's good.
Thank you.
You haven't heard that one, huh, Patrick? I got approached by the state of California years ago when I was on the regional board over this, and they came to my house with guns. Were looking for me. It was a governor thing for my appointment, and I told him, I said, hey, I write notes on my hand. I told him, I just washed them too. It was over a donation, and actually, please, I'm off the subject a little bit, but I was chair of the regional board. And whenever I go across the east span of the Bay Bridge, I had the privilege of signing the first piling that they drove in to build that thing.
Wow.
And what happened was at the time, the unions were given lots of money and the governor, no names mentioned, was in a trailer there getting checks at Treasure Island. And the next day or two, we approved a big refinery project. And they go, oh, there's a conflict there because you got all that money. Where's your notes from the governor's office to approve that refinery project? I said, I write notes. I have no notes. I'm not a computer guy. So they said, I can't believe it. They said that. But
Well, some things,
so when you go over the Bay Bridge, that on the east side there, my name's on the piling.
some things get done in California. All right, thank you, guys.
Little humor there.
Any requests for future board meetings? I think we have a future retreat in the planning stages, so
But that could be within the next year. I mean, it doesn't need to be, yeah.
yeah, so no, well, it's been directed towards staff, and they'll get back to us when the timing works for everyone. I know it's like herding cats and people have to heal, and so thank you very much. And we can call that a meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Get well, team out there, and
Yeah, I guess.
board member Reynolds to do. What do we got?
Jeffrey.
Three,
Get back together.
all of you.
Yeah.